Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim for The Real Sports Talk. You can hit me up on Twitter at CashKelly, K-A-S-H Kelly _TRST, and you can also go like The Real Sports Talk on Facebook to get coverage from us at every different angle that is possible, really. Last night I did the video recapping the Spurs Game 1 video over the or Game 1 win over the Thunder. That was a tremendous game and a tremendous series, and a series that gets going tonight. I'm not going to be able to make a video about that because I have finals tomorrow, but a series that's going to be getting going tonight is the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, and this should be a great series. And actually, I might be able to make a video. It depends when the game ends. But this is going to be a great series in my mind, because if Chris Bosh was there and everything had been going great for the Heat, then maybe we're not in that situation. But the Heat really, LeBron and Wade have had to shoulder a lot of the load, and that's to be expected, but way more than even they usually have to for this team. And that to me is going to be a factor. Is, do these guys kind of wear down in this series? And if they do, then they're kind of out of luck, because you don't know what you're going to get from Bosh. Chris Bosh is out indefinitely. He's not going to play tonight. My guess is that he will be back earlier in this series. Probably Game 3 would be my guess. Maybe Game 2, but my guess would be Game 3. We all know he has the abdominal strain, so even when he comes back, there's really no knowing how effective he's going to be. And that's actually a huge loss for the Heat, because while this team doesn't have David West and Roy Hibbert, Brandon Bass and KG have played very well for this team, especially in the last round. Brandon Bass essentially won them Game 5, and Kevin Garnett has really carried this team throughout the playoffs, him and Rajon Rondo, because Kevin Garnett he's found something. Like, he's playing how he did in Minnesota and when he was in his prime, and at age 36, that's really impressive. He's about to be a free agent, and he understands that this very well could be his last chance to win a championship. And I think that a lot of the Celtics feel that way. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Doc Rivers is the head coach, and then even Rajon Rondo, he doesn't know what his future is with the team, and then ultimately, if he does stay with that team, when he's going to get teammates like this again. So I think that he probably feels that pressure just as much. But Chris Bosh being out, I want to focus a little bit more in on that, because when he comes back again, we don't know how effective he's going to be, and that is crucial, because last year in this series, when these two teams met in the second round, Chris Bosh played a really nice series, and Dwayne Wade and LeBron James played better series offensively, but defensively and rebounding, Chris Bosh, I know he's soft, but he actually played a very good series against Kevin Garnett. It was one of the main reasons that the Heat were able to win that series pretty quickly, was because of how well Chris Bosh defended KG, how well he played him on the boards. And if he's not there in this series, I think that Chris Bosh is going to have Kevin Garnett is going to have a huge series in this series, the way he has throughout the playoffs so far. I think that Kevin Garnett is can get you 20 and 10 again in this series, and I think that that's going to be a real crucial thing for the Miami Heat to stop. If Chris Bosh can get back, then they need Chris Bosh back. No matter how effective he is, he's going to be more effective than whether you have a guy like Joel Anthony down there or even LeBron James defending in the post. I'll probably take the way Chris Bosh defended over against Kevin Garnett last year. I'll take that over what I've seen out of LeBron. LeBron has done a nice job in the post. He's held his own, but ultimately he's an elite perimeter defender. He's a solid post defender, but out on the perimeter, that's where he's the most dangerous. And he not only lose the aspect of having Chris Bosh and having LeBron, who's not as good as Bosh underneath, but they lose having LeBron out on the perimeter when Bosh is not able to be there. A few things for the Celtics that I'm looking at. Avery Bradley's now out for the season. He had to have shoulder surgery. That's actually huge, because Avery Bradley was their main defender against the point guard, and now they have to put Ray Allen, who we know coming into the series is banged up. He really did not get any time off, and Ray Allen with that ankle, he actually did a decent job on Drew Holiday in Game 7, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to contain Mario Chalmers, and if this team gets on the break, how effective he's going to be. We know that Ray Allen was not effective, not only defensively in that series, but offensively throughout these playoffs. He really has struggled to get going. I know he had those 2 big threes in Game 7, but ultimately, because of how ineffective he was on defense, it carried over to the offensive side, and he was like 2 of 8 from threes in Game 7. So he really did not play well at all in Game 7 either. So they need him to get going, and I'm not sure that's going to be able to happen because I just don't know if he has enough time to really get healthy in this series. Now, if they make it to the NBA Finals, then certainly maybe there's enough rest time there that he's able to get to at least like 90% and in a better situation than he's in now. But I expect Mario Chalmers to be that big third scorer while Chris Bosh is out, as long as that may be, or even if Chris Bosh comes back and isn't as effective. I expect Mario Chalmers to have a nice series because he's going to take advantage of that defensive matchup that he has. LeBron and Wade, that's what it's going to come down to for the Miami Heat, though, for me. Because LeBron and Dwayne Wade last season put this team on their back, both of them in this series. LeBron had more rebounds and had averaged 28 points a game in the series, while Dwayne Wade had more points and more assists. Dwayne Wade averaged 30 points. Both of them played great series, and then in one of those games, LeBron James carried the team through overtime and got them a huge win. Both of them were extremely effective, and that's probably what it's going to take again in this series. Both of these guys are probably going to have to average above 25, and if they want to be really sure they're going to win, above 27 would probably be pretty nice for the Miami Heat if they want to make this a quicker series and not a 7-game series where they grind it out. Because I get the feeling if they get in a 7-game grinded out series and give Ray Allen time to be healthy, and maybe Paul Pierce gets going, and I'll get to Paul Pierce in a second, because Paul Pierce has not really been all that effective throughout these playoffs. He's hit some big shots, but overall Paul Pierce has not played that well throughout these playoffs, and that is something that needs to change if they're going to win this series. But Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, they need to make this a quicker series. A 6-game series you can get away with. I get the feeling if it goes 7 that the Boston Celtics might have the upper hand in this series. And that's not something that he want to have happen, because Paul Pierce is one of the best closers in the NBA. We saw Rajon Rondo when it was necessary. Was a great closer in Game 7. Ray Allen hit some big shots. So the Celtics are certainly a team that can close. And I don't know. I get the feeling that if this series goes to Game 7, that the Boston Celtics probably win this series. That's my gut feeling. But if I think that LeBron and Dwayne Wade are going to continue to play at a similar level, they're going to have to combine, probably get you about 60 to 65 points a game. And I think that they can do that. It's going to come down to LeBron James doesn't disappear, which you don't expect, but he's done it throughout times in his career. And then Dwayne Wade also doesn't struggle early on in the series the way that he did against the Pacers. Because I can tell you, if the Celtics get up in this series and they spell blood, it's not going to be the way the Pacers did, where they cough up a lead or anything like that. If the Celtics are able to get up in this series early on, then they have the upper hand. Like I mentioned, if they can get this to a deep series where they're in control of it, then they're going to have a much better chance of winning. I think LeBron plays with a chip on his shoulder anytime he plays against the Celtics, because the first knock against LeBron, when you hear people talk negatively about him, is last year's NBA Finals, and then the second knock, besides like the decision and everything, the actual on-the-court knocks, is that when he was in Cleveland, that he quit against the Celtics, and he did, and that's one of the knocks that we continue to hear. No matter how well he played, he's not going to get that off him until he wins an NBA championship, and he's going to have to go through the Boston Celtics again this year, and I think that he plays with a chip on his shoulder against them. Dwayne Wade seems to play well against this team. And Rajon Rondo is going to be a tough matchup. This is the last thing I want to talk about. Rajon Rondo defensively is going to be a tough matchup. You hope that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James on the perimeter, Mario Chalmers, can corral him enough, keep him from scoring. When he doesn't score and he turns the ball over more, that's when the Celtics don't win. When he's out there getting a triple-double, then the Celtics have a very good shot at winning the game, because you can count that KG, Paul Pierce, and maybe even Ray Allen and Brandon Bass are going to provide some points too. And when he has a triple-double and keeps the turnovers down, then the Boston Celtics tend to win the game. My gut feeling overall in this series, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, I just get this feeling that LeBron James, that they're going to get back to the NBA Finals. That's my feeling, that early on in this series, they take control. With Ray Allen injured, Paul Pierce hasn't been very effective, and Rajon Rondo down the stretch in those last 2 games. Game 6, he played awful against the Sixers, and then Game 7, throughout a lot of that game, he was turning the ball over, wasn't playing all that well, and then late, he hit a few big threes, and people kind of forgot about it, and that's probably the way things should be. But I think that the Heat will get up in this series, and I expect the Heat win this game, or this series in 6. A lot is going to depend on the effectiveness of Chris Bosh, whether he comes back, but then the effectiveness, and then also, can Mario Chalmers step up? Mario Chalmers and Chris Bosh are the X factors for the Miami Heat, and also Shane Battier I think is important because if you put him down in the post defensively, what is he able to bring? He's looked really old throughout these playoffs. Not only offensively, but defensively, where he's made his name, he hasn't looked nearly as good in these playoffs as we've come accustomed to seeing Shane Battier look. So if he's able to play well in this series, get you some points here and there, then the Heat are in a good situation. For the Boston Celtics, it comes down to can Ray Allen's ankle get healthy, and then can he step up defensively to guard their point guard. That's what it's going to take for the Boston Celtics to win. Paul Pierce is going to have to get going. Essentially, they're all going to have to be playing at their highest level. Kevin Garnett is going to have to continue playing at the level that he's played throughout the first 2 playoffs. And I don't doubt that the Celtics can do that, but I don't think that they're going to do that. I wouldn't put it past them, but my bet is that enough things go the Heat's way. Chris Bosh gets back between games 2 and 4, somewhere in there, and the Miami Heat are able to win this series.